Recession in the next 12 months? Inevitable. But here are my top 6 tips that could help you recession-proof your life. And stick around for the last one because it's a little unconventional. Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel. For those of you that are new, my name is John of John's Finance Tips on TikTok and on Instagram. And this is a channel I dedicate to bringing you all of life's personal finance cheat codes. The cat's out the bag. We are headed into a recession. Economists surveyed by the Wall Street Journal indicate that there's a 44% chance that we are going to be in a recession by year end. I know, you're probably thinking,
John, that's not even that high.
Yeah, and normally I would agree. Under 50% probability, it's not happening. So I dug a little bit more into the data, and this is what I found. In December of 2007, this same survey indicated that they thought there would be a 38% chance of recession. In February of 2020, they thought there would be a 24% chance of recession. And we all know how both of those events turned out. So that probably begs the question, what can we do? Well, the first thing you can do is tap that thumb icon to spread the good word and sit back because we're gonna run over my recession-proof tips. Although, I guess while you're sitting back, let me give you some broader context. I think it always helps. So, how did we actually get here? The short version is Papa Pow's money printer went or whatever it is, the government printed a lot of money. The longer explanation is actually not that much more complicated. So, fearing an economic slowdown in 2020, the government said, you know what, we're gonna stimulate the economy. Boom, $5 trillion, right there. That $5 trillion got onto the marketplace, and guess what? It drove up demand. Remember now, 2020, global supply chain issues, not enough supply, really high demand, prices go up. In addition, workers who saw the prices go up went to their employer asking for more pay. They got more pay, they had more purchasing power to buy at the increased prices, but there was still a supply and demand issue. Prices kept going up, they asked for more pay, prices go up, and so on and so forth. Now, there's other things we can layer on. For example, in America, we have a shortage of homes. That drives real estate prices up. We also have conflict in Europe, Russia, Ukraine. That's impacting energy prices. And so there's just a whole slew of kind of a perfect storm in which now we're in a period where inflation is up over 8.6%. And in order to slow down inflation, the government has to slow down the economy. And one of the ways in which they're doing that is increasing interest rates. The other time in history that this has happened was back in the 1970s, where they introduced double-digit interest rate increases, and that threw the economy into a deep recession. However, because of that deep recession, it did save us from a hyperinflation runaway type of situation. But if history is any indicator of what might happen, then yes, deep recession incoming. So what to do? Number 1. Do not go seek new debt. In an inflationary period, in a recessionary period, there is so much uncertainty. You could be hunky-dory, fine one day, the next day, you're laid off. You do not have a job. And so if you're going on and taking on a lot of new debt to either buy new toys or say add a renovation or addition to your house, and suddenly your income source is gone, you're gonna be in deep trouble. And so in this period, try to taper down exactly what you're going to spend, especially when it comes to adding any sort of new debt into your life. And in conjunction with that, I recommend you pay off any sort of high interest rate debt that you have currently today. For example, if you happen to have credit card debt, that interest rate is very much so impacted by the interest rate that the federal government sets. And so if those rates are up, your credit card interest is up, that makes it more expensive to actually pay down your bill. And so really try to aggressively pay down high interest rate debt as aggressively as possible and hold off on adding any new debt. Number 2, reassess your budget. And instead of doing it annually, do it monthly. For one, really figure out what in your budget is something you really need versus want. Because right now, you might have a really good paying job, things are going well, absolutely. But in a recessionary period, your job could be gone tomorrow. And so, do you have the reserves to pay for your current lifestyle? And within that current lifestyle, what's something that is just a bit of a nice to have that might be kind of early on the chopping block if you kind of see things going south? And along the veins of things going south, do you actually have the emergency reserves set aside? The recommendation is typically having 6 months of reserve set aside to meet your absolute minimum living expenses. But I would say if we know we're going into a recession, we know there's gonna be uncertainty, get a bit of a buffer, maybe 9 months, maybe 12 months. You don't know how long you could potentially be out of a job. And then from a budgeting perspective, typically how we recommend you go about it is using the 50-30-20 rule. So 50% of your budget goes to your needs, 30% goes to wants, and then 20% goes to paying back debt or investing. Now, I would say maybe tune it down a little bit in terms of wants and shuffle that off either towards investing, saving, or paying debt, or to what you would require to survive. Number 3, when it comes to your portfolio, and especially for me and my portfolio, I am looking at this as a buying opportunity. Dollar cost average. Now, I know stock market does not equal the economy, but there are some correlations, and obviously we've seen a pullback in the broader general stock market. And so this presents a great buying opportunity if you are in a position to do so. Think about this. When something goes on sale at your favorite store or at the grocery store, what do? You probably are looking to buy, right? And similarly, when the stock market is kind of not doing so hot, it presents a really good buying opportunity. Now, we don't know when the bottom is, we don't know how bad of a pullback this will be, and so I'm not saying this is the perfect opportunity to buy, but what I am saying is, in general downturns, this is where you could potentially make a lot of money. So the saying goes, in a bull market, you make money. In a bear market, you get rich. And on average, bear markets last somewhere around 9 months, and then followed by bull markets, which can last on average 2.7 years, returning over 100%. The last bull market we were on returned over 400%. Now, as it comes to investing though, you need to actually have both the funds and the appetite to do it, and dollar cost averaging is kind of a way to go about that. So dollar cost averaging means you kind of are just buying, right, at regular set intervals, whether it's weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever it is, you're averaging down your cost basis. Now, the reason we're doing that instead of just trying to time the bottom is, one, nobody knows when the bottom is and you could just miss it. Think about, let's go back to 2020. I mean, that bottom I think lasted for like maybe a month and a half. I mean, that was a quick bottom and then it shot up. The other thing with dollar cost averaging, just from a psychological perspective, it's easier to just kind of average down your cost as opposed to maybe you bought here and it went down a little bit more, a lot of bit more, and that might just make you sweat, panic, sell, and then you try to buy in or you don't buy in and you miss the up. And so with dollar cost averaging, it's very much a very powerful psychological trick you can play on yourself in which, you know what, it's set, it's automated, I'm gonna average my cost basis down so I can take advantage of the eventual return to the bull market. Number 4, diversify. During these periods of downturn, it's good to have a diverse portfolio so that your assets are not all going in one direction. I'm gonna make a comment though. Crypto. Listen, I'm not anti-crypto, all right? I've definitely made my money in the crypto markets, but wasn't crypto or Bitcoin supposed to be an inflation hedge? Why does it feel like it's not really hedging much? I mean, it seems to be moving kind of correlated to the market. Anyway, just a comment. In any sort of market, whether it's a bull market, bear market, recession or not, you wanna have a diverse portfolio that spreads risk. Now, in periods of pullback, in bear markets, in a recession, investors tend to go from assets that are maybe a little bit more speculative, let's say equities/stock market, and go towards real assets, for example, real estate. And I personally, I'm a real estate investor. I love real estate. I think it's a great hedge. I mean, here's the thing, right? Especially in an inflationary period, when you think about it, prices for rents are going up. Well, if you're a real estate investor, if prices for goods are going up and you have property, then you could probably just increase rents because that will keep pace with what the market price is. And so that would be a great hedge against inflation. And then in a type of recessionary period, let's say you own a property, and let's say potentially, the worst case, you lose your job. Well, guess what? You could always just get roommates. I'm being 100% honest here. Get roommates, reduce the cost of living for your expenses. Maybe they even pay for your entire mortgage. And so, all right, you're out of a job, but at least you still have a place to live. And when it comes to real estate, it tends to perform very well historically over time, even in down markets. And when it comes to real estate, you don't actually have to be the one buying that particular piece of property. One way to go about it is using something like a Fundrise, where they're a company that buys properties, and you can basically buy shares in a portfolio, and you still kind of get the benefit of diversifying your portfolio into real estate without owning the underlying asset and having to manage it and be a landlord. Just an idea. And if you're interested, I do have a link if you want to check it out to sign up. 5, adding additional revenue streams. In a recessionary period, people can lose jobs like that. And so you wanna make sure that you've got money coming in, even if you end up losing your job, God forbid. And so one of the easier ones is look at the gig economy. maybe an Uber, a Postmates, something to that effect where you get a little bit of supplemental income, you get familiar with the system, and so if things kind of go south, like you still have that source of income. Another source of income could be affiliate marketing. So this is you talking about a product and you get a small commission for the product when it sells. So I actually do this when it comes to a lot of my credit cards. I am in an affiliate marketing program. And so when I recommend a card, someone applies and gets approved, I will get a small commission. Now, you don't have to have a huge audience to do it. You could really just start with some friends. Now, I don't think credit cards is that case, but things like items on Amazon, that's one that you definitely don't need a huge following to be able to start. Another idea for potentially generating more revenue is consider creating content. I know, probably biased because I create content, but it's one that I look back and it's like, wow, there's like some significant revenue on this side of it. And you don't need hundreds of thousands of followers, like a couple hundred, you can get going. Truthfully, like if you wanna create a digital product and you sell a digital product, you wanna work with brands and advertise for them and they'll pay you 50, 100, 1,000, whatever it is, like that's more money in your pocket that you otherwise wouldn't have had. Now, I will say though, from the content creation side, you wanna view it from a lens of, okay, you enjoy doing what you do. It's not purely for the money because you could get burnt out from it, but I just wanna throw it out as an option like, hey, we're in a recessionary period. Let's try all the different ideas that we can so that we protect ourselves from the potential worst case, which is losing our primary jobs. And number 6, this one, if you follow my page, is gonna be so obvious. And if you haven't, well, it might be new to you. The 6th one seems a little counterintuitive. I said, don't get new debt when I first started this video, but a credit card with cash back, absolutely. A cashback credit card is gonna help you save 1, 2, 3, 5, maybe even 10% depending on how you're using it. And that is huge when it comes to trying to cut costs, minimize costs in a recessionary pull down. And so these cards, I would say, take a look at no annual fee cards that give you some sort of cashback bonus and just get into the habit of, right, for groceries, for gas, like don't use debit, don't use cash, use a credit card that's gonna help you save some money. I can leave a link maybe for some of the top cards that I look at as maybe beginner cards or travel cards, but whatever it is, when it comes to credit cards, understand this. It's not your money and we pay on time and in full. But if you're able to do that, you can save so much money over the course of a year just by getting a 5 or 6, or again, there's some cards you're looking at maybe even 10% cash back when you stack it accordingly. Without getting too many specifics, right now for gas and grocery, I love the Citi Custom Cash. For travel, I love my Chase, I love my Capital ones. But again, you're gonna have to do a little bit more research. I have a ton of videos on my channel if you wanna check out any of the cards I talk about. But credit cards are an amazing way to try to reduce some of the cost of your daily living expenses. And that's it, folks. See, it wasn't that bad. I mean, top 6 tips to try to recession-proof your life. The net I would say is, how can you cut your expenses and bring in more revenue? So please, I hope you enjoyed the video. I thought it was a really good one. Let me know in the comment section below. What are you doing to potentially try to prepare for this upcoming recession? And if you have any questions, please let me know. My name is John and I will catch y'all next time. Peace.